I know exactly how to beat you.
Darkseid has never been beaten.
Not anymore. Begin.
Alright, what's going on? Today we're going to be talking about the best TVs to buy right now, and we're going to be doing so in a way that I'm going to try something a little different, where I'm going to try to explain a little bit more of what to expect going into these TVs 2019. Right now, I know a lot of TVs have hit sale price, and a lot of people are starting to ask the question, should I buy these things right now, or should I just wait until maybe a later point in time? So how we're going to do this is, you guys, as usual, will ask questions, but in the lieu of questions, when there aren't any, I'll just be going over things in case people are picking up this video after the fact or whatever the case may be. Now, in terms of 2019 right now, obviously, most of the TVs are not going to launch until March at the like earliest we could expect them, and they're probably not going to fully launch until probably like mid-April. Like, that's usually around the time frame that they usually go with for these televisions, and we can expect a pretty decent wait. But let's say right now, today, you want to buy yourself a good television and you want to get something that is worth your time. What is a good television to purchase? Well, you have to, obviously, after assessing what you want, look at the price points. I know a lot of people ask me what I personally use. You guys know I love my Q8. I mean, that's just my personal thing, but there are great sales happening right now on TVs like the Q6. You have TVs like even OLED. The B8 went down to $14.97 on Amazon. You know, there are a lot of different sale prices that you can go, but you know, the thing is, though, when you're shopping around, you want to make sure that you're not just buying just because you are excited, because the new TVs will come out, and if there's a feature that you're looking for or that you need, it's better to just wait until those TVs launch. Now, again, if you want to buy something right now, you can get yourself a Q7 for about $12.97. Now, I know I'm just listing Samsung TVs right now. Of course, there are other televisions that I will be listing, so, you know, just bear with the explanations as to why we're going through it the way we are. Now, we're going to go through the Sony X900F. I know a lot of people are wondering about that. I do not recommend that television. It's still currently way too overpriced at $11.98. That's not something I would recommend most people go for. I think at $11.98, that's pretty ridiculous, considering that the full array is not performing the way that it should, and it's only going to upset a lot of people in the long run. So if that's not something that you need, I would avoid it. Now, when we were talking about other televisions that you could buy that are pretty kick-ass from Sony outside of the 900F, you have TVs like the Sony X900E 65-inch. You can still buy that on Amazon for $14.98 for people who want a 65-incher. It's not a bad option. You have the X930. You can pick that up for $1,098. I mean, you still do have options, right? And I think it's important to explore all those options while they are on sale. They're pretty much kicking everything off before Super Bowl and all that, so you don't really have to worry about waiting a really, really long time before, you know, you hit the Super Bowl to get a television. I know a lot of people were wondering about that too. You don't have to worry about these kinds of things. Now, one of the things I want to warn you guys about is when it comes to the sale prices, just be careful, because I know a lot of third-party vendors are out there on eBay. A lot of you guys are going like used and just saying, hey, I can find this for a deal, now that people are trying to offload their TVs on eBay. Don't do that. If you're doing that, you run the risk of not only being out of warranty, but also you have people who are trying to scam a lot. Usually they won't tell you what those issues are with the TV that makes them want to get rid of it, and you'll probably end up with crazy uniformity issues, dead pixels. I mean, there are all kinds of things they could try to scam you out of, so just be very, very careful. Now, as far as Panasonic TVs go, I don't have any real thoughts on Panasonic TVs because Panasonic does not sell to the United States, so there is no way for me to really give an opinion on Panasonic. What's going on, Charles? You said, do you think that the Q9 line will drop? No, I don't think the Q9 will drop. Samsung's pretty greedy with their pricing strategy. They usually go for literally the most they can get for their highest end product. That's just how they are. The most that they have dropped down to is like $27.98, $99, something like that. It's still pretty damn expensive for the Q9 65-inch, let alone anything above that. So you're still eating a good amount of the cost for the Q9. So that's definitely something I would probably take with a grain of salt, because all the manufacturers, for the most case and scenario, kind of do this. It's just their style. I don't know why they overcharge like that, but they definitely do. Now, when you're talking about buying TVs, especially right now, I think another one of the things to be really careful of is make sure that when you buy these televisions, if you buy a brand that you are even a little iffy about, you buy the warranty with it, because I know a lot of people are just kind of picking up these TVs and hoping for the best, but you want to make sure you're being careful. I think that's really the big thing here. A lot of people don't really take that into account because obviously the price goes up on these TVs, and it's just like, you know, that's one of the things I, even myself, to be honest with you, have trouble with. When I see a television go up in price, it's just like, well, I could get it for this low price, or I could spend this warranty cost, which is another, you know, $400 in most cases, and then, you know, for what? You know, I can take care of myself, you know? So it's one of those things you definitely want to be careful about. If you do have a budget brand, make sure you're getting the warranty with it. What's going on, Jay Spicer? You said, what do I dislike about 8K TVs? I dislike that 8K is being pushed too early. I think 8K would have had a chance of being realistic if they would have marketed it the way that it was supposed to. I think 8K just came at a time where we don't even have 4K fully optimized yet, let alone our HDR. Our HDR has a long way to go, but they're already talking about 8K. So I dislike the fact that, you know, we also don't even have 12-bit panels yet, and the conversation of 8K is happening. You know, we're not realizing what we have today with our current 4K tech, and I just don't see 8K being anything more than a way to trick consumers to upgrade to that next largest TV size. I see a lot of guys doing this. They're like, oh, I'll just buy that brand new 80-inch 8K. And you guys, for those of you guys who saw my video recently about why you should probably go smaller, again, you're not getting the best experience when you're going up in size with these televisions. Like, going up to 80 inches and like 100 inches on a TV is incredibly stupid when you're considering the fact that the uniformity is dodgy at best. Anybody who's bought a 75-inch probably knows this. I mean, it's a crapshoot, really. And 8K right now, it's way too early, and I feel like the way they're positioning it is super hyper-aggressive, and I feel like they're not going to obviously stop. It's just something they're going to keep running with, but I dislike it. It's too soon. I feel like fix the problems they know exist today, and consumers would be happier. Like, I'd rather have a kick-ass 4K TV that does everything that I would want it to do than an 8K TV that, you know, nobody could afford, and quite frankly, it's like, yeah, it might be amazing, but it doesn't fit most people's needs, and I feel like that's the problem with 8K right now. So I guess in total, I guess that's really what I hate about 8K. It's a rushed resolution in a time where we don't need it. What's going on, Wild Boy Miller Time? What's happening, man? You said, what's the best TV with HDMI 2.1 and VRR with some good features? I think right now the best TVs are probably best waited for, because obviously we don't know what the 2019 TVs are going to do yet. I feel like, honestly, if we wait probably till 2020, being realistic, that's when you're going to see the real, you know, HDMI 2.1 standard. Because, I mean, it's the first generation, really, in my mind. I call them prototypes. I call them, like, first generation prototypes anytime we have, like, you know, a first gen 2.1 HDMI or first gen, even quantum dot television from any company, right? You don't want to do the first generation because usually that's where all the bugs and all the problems are from. So I usually recommend you wait until the following year, especially considering the only option right now that I know of right now that's really doing the HDMI 2.1 push like heavy is LG in their OLED line. But you guys know, I really don't recommend OLED, and there are many reasons as to why. Of course, it comes down to personal preference, but, you know, being a professional, I'm not going to recommend something I know has the risk of irreparable damage, so, you know, that's just something I wouldn't do to my customers, and let alone people who come and you know, ask me for personal advice. So, I mean, I would hold off on that, man. I really would. What's going on, Nox23? What's happening? You said, any trouble since you downloaded the Samsung update? Noticed anything now that you've been able to play with it for a bit? No, the Samsung update has been pretty solid. I haven't had any issues. I've been rocking... hell, let me grab my remote to tell you the exact... I think it's 1202.3. I don't even know where my remote is right now, to be honest with you. But I'm pretty sure it's the current one that came out in December. Or November, whichever. December or November. That's the one I'm still rocking. The same one I did the review on. It's the same. Nothing's changed. What's going on, Brian? You said Q8FN is $14.99 right now. You returned the 900F to hold out for 2019, but you're thinking the Q8 right now. Honestly, I think you should jump on the Q8 because the problem I'm noticing, and this is for anybody wondering, not just Brian here, anybody who's wondering, like these new 2019 TVs, think about what they did with even 2018. It seems like as the time goes on, they take things out of the TV and then add back old features from like older televisions and pretend like they're giving you something. And I might have to do a video on this to show you guys what I'm talking about, because I'll sound crazy if I tell you guys they're literally ripping features out and then giving the same features you had literally like 5 years ago back to you. You know, you probably would think I'm crazy, so I actually do have a way to prove this to you guys, so I'll probably end up doing a video like that. I think that'd be pretty dope. But yeah, no, that's basically all I feel like they're going to do to you guys on top of the current trend, right? Which is, you know, HDMI 2.1. What do consumers want? Oh, they want variable refresh rates, high frame rate. Let's tackle that so we can get their money. But I feel like the optimization obviously isn't going to be there because, number one and most important, you know, anytime you're talking about 2019, everybody's pushing the new standard, right? They're pushing deeper black levels, brighter televisions than we had yesterday, and I feel like if they're going that route, you're not going to be satisfied with the end-all performance, because the brighter TVs I'm noticing, the newer brighter TVs usually have these problems with blooming because they can't keep that level of brightness controlled. Like, we've been experimenting with 1000 nits for the longest time, no problem. But when you start talking about 3,000 and 4,000 nit territory, that's uncharted water for most consumers. And these companies really, until you start spending upwards of $4,000, they really aren't doing the best job with keeping the blooming down. So honestly, I would just go with the Q8. Like, I can vouch for the Q8. I use it every day. I know it's a great television, and that's usually why I recommend it. I know what it can do. And I mean, I had to do the same thing you guys had to do, you know, where you had to sit there and go, hey, listen, you know, I could buy product A or product B. What are my options here? And I was torn. I'll be very honest with all of you. I was so torn between the 930E and the Q8FN. I loved the brightness of the 930. It was fantastic. But then the Q8 had the color, and that black level pop was ridiculous. And it was like going back and forth. So it's just kind of like a ballet, if you will, of trying to find what works for you. And it was really hard for me. So believe me, I understand how hard it can be for some of you guys out there who really are just trying to find what really is better. And, you know, and then the problem gets compounded because you try to research this stuff, and people want to collect their commissions, right? They want to get paid. They want to get their spiffs or their bonuses from whatever company they're working for and not tell you about it. Or at least with me, I'm not doing that crap. At least I'll tell you like it is so you know what the deal is. And honestly, man, like when I had all those options laid out on the table for myself, the thing for me was, you know, I really like peak brightness, like, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my black levels either. So it came down to me to only a handful of TVs. I had the Vizio P-Series Quantum on my radar. I had the 930, the Q9, and the Q8. Those were like the 4 TVs that I really in total were really thinking about doing, and ultimately came down to the Q8 just because for everything that I saw that it could do, it hit every nail on the head for me. And then the game mode, that was something that I really wanted to have as well. So soap opera effect in game mode, I was like freaking out about that. Ironically enough, for those who want to hear something negative about the Q8, because it's not all roses either, game mode is optimized the worst out of literally every mode in the television, in that when you go into the local dimming, it does not drive aggressively like it does in all the other modes, and you run into situations where you see some blooming, and it's really annoying, and it's something that probably shouldn't have existed. So very long-winded way to say that, but that's pretty much my opinion. I think right now, if you can, go with a Q8, be a great choice, or something else from 2018, because I feel like as time goes on, things are being built to a worse standard. And you guys are probably going to laugh at me, but the reason I feel this way is, I mean, like, you can see this kind of even in our cars. Like, you guys see those old school cars that were made out of metal chassis and built, like, actually made like tanks, and now you don't even have a bumper anymore in your car. It's all a side panel that once you hit it, you got to go to a collision repair shop and replace the whole thing for about, you know, the price of a used car, you know, anywhere upwards from $3,500 to $6,000 to replace these things. So things are definitely being made to a lesser standard today than even when most of us were growing up, you know, so that's something to think about as well. And I don't think that trend is going to stop, because I hate to say it, but most people are stupid. I mean, really stupid. Most people believe that no matter what, the companies that they're paying will always look out for them. And it's that concept that really hurts people. And so I really hope that at least some of us kind of are there with these companies. Especially, I was watching, for you guys wondering, I was watching the Real 4K Review. He's one of our community members here. And he was doing a warning video on a Z9D about the firmware update, and they basically screwed him over and patched his television and destroyed his black levels to now the Z9D has black crushing. And of course, I love that somebody else is finally talking about it, where, you know, they're finally kind of getting caught more and more by more everyday people, you know, like the black crushing on Sony never was a thing. Like, even when I reviewed the Z9D, that was never a thing. Of course, now after, you know, they announced their new TVs shortly after, this is what they do. So I really don't trust, you know, trusting the brand new televisions, because there's something that they're not doing to try to weaken the performance of the TVs you already have. Because if your TV right now is literally so good that they need to mess it up, you know, what does that say about what they're putting out? It probably says that it's not up to the same level, so they have to do something to make you not want it anymore, and to try to upgrade if you already have it. So that's just my thought there, though. What's going on, Joel? What's happening? You said check out your page. I'll check out your page in a second here. I'll see what you got going on, man. If you can, just give me a little rundown, because it's hard to do while I have the feed up here. What's going on, Lester? You said LG B8 versus Q8 in a dark room for movies and TV shows. That is not an easy question. That does get really hard, believe it or not. It comes down to a couple factors. Okay, so if you're somebody that does not like black crush, you're not going to like OLED, and that's just keeping it 100% real with you. Now, at the same time, if you're not somebody that likes to see even the faintest trail of light, period, like you don't even want to know that you have an LED television, obviously you don't want an LED television. Other than that, it kind of gets like really, really close between the two in a lot of different areas, but ultimately, it's going to come down to, do you like ABL? Is ABL going to be a problem for you when they're dimming down explosions? If so, that's a no-go. On the QLED side of things, will you like when things get really, really bright? If that's something that, again, is going to bother you in a dark room, you might want to look elsewhere. I mean, of course, you can always lower the brightness slider down, but there are people that really are bothered by it. Now, I think the really cool thing about OLED that even still to this day, I wish they could just figure it out on everything, I mean, across the board, no matter what tech it is the way that they render contrast on some scenes that are bright. they do a really good job on the black backgrounds. That's obviously the self-emissive nature, and that, again, you're not finding that anywhere, and that's just true. That's honest. Like, when things turn off, they're truly off, and it really does look dark, and it's amazing. It really is. When you have certain scenes, you can really start to believe in OLED and be like, wow, my God, like, this technology is incredible. But then it kind of shows its ugly head when you look closer, and now you start paying more attention, or at least I do, because it's such an immersive, seemingly immersive experience. You start paying attention to those fine details, and then you notice, okay, well, now I don't have the shadows that I remember having in The Dark Knight here, and I don't have Harry Potter's wand here, like, and you start picking up little things that add up to a bigger picture of an overall picture, you know, diminished return. And that's something that, again, bugs the heck out of me. And I think if you're an image purist, you're not going to like an OLED. The colors are not going to be up to par for you. It's going to lack the warmth. That's just something very specific I'm going to say. It will lack warmth. You know, the WRGB colors are going to show a cooler color paletry, and it's just something that you have to deal with. Now, I have found a workaround to this. My workaround will not work with everybody. I know a lot of people hate when I, even on my Q8, put my settings to warm 2. Then you're going to hate this workaround. My workaround is basically when you use the, it's like the eye strain thing on the LG OLED. I forget what it's called off the top of my head, but it basically makes everything super duper yellow. It's like an auto white balance, and it corrects everything for you, and basically just makes everything really, really yellow. And you lose white. The color white doesn't exist anymore. It's a yellow. And that's kind of the compromise you have to make. But if you do that on movies on an OLED, damn, that's all I'll say. It gets, like, incredibly, impossibly difficult to decide between the two. And that's how I used to watch OLED. It was, you know, the only way I could do it is sacrificing my whites, but getting every other color on check with, you know, what I wanted. So that's something to think about. It is a really hard choice, but those are the factors I think you should consider. What's going on, Batsy? You said, have you ever heard of the TCL X4? I have. TCL is pretty much exclusively selling the X series in China until this year, where they announced that the X10 would be coming to the States, and it'd be like their 8K monster version of the X4 and all the other. I know they have like an X6. They have actually a whole line in China of their X series, and I was saying even back in 2017 when they launched the TCL R6 that they're just basically kind of crapping on us as Americans, because they're not really giving us that. They're giving us some garbage like photon technology instead of the quantum dots we know that they had in 2017. So it was just something I really felt salt about, but I have heard about it. Hopefully we see more of that from TCL, and they actually step it up and really show the big guys who's boss. I mean, I would love that. It'd be fantastic. So what do I think? So I think you should wait till 2020. I do. I think you should wait until 2020. Wild Boy Miller, I think you should. That'd be probably, if you're looking for true HDMI 2.1. Because I feel like, honestly, everybody that's getting hyped up right now is just going to be pissed off when they come out with, like, I mean, imagine it when you hear it at CES. We're going to introduce 12-bit panels. I mean, that alone would piss anybody off who bought an HDMI 2.1. Now you're not going to see that true benefit of unlocking the real Dolby Vision. Like, and I'm telling you right now, I've been calling this for years. I'm going to keep calling it. The moment they come out with true Dolby Vision, it's going to be like this big thing. They're going to be like, Dolby Vision, the real Dolby Vision, unlock all the colors and all this crazy nonsense. I promise you they're probably going to do some crap like that. And it's going to piss everybody off because they're going to realize that they were basically just sold a lie. And that, I get called a lot of things for saying that current Dolby Vision is fake, but it is fake. If you go on the Dolby website and you read what they classify as Dolby Vision, what we have today is not it. It's called Dolby Vision Enabled. They have charts and diagrams and everything. Like, just read it. I'm telling you, it's crazy. But yeah, I think if you really want that benefit, wait till 2020, my friend. What's going on, Saporus Maximus? What's happening? You said just got a Q9FN calibrated. Took 2 hours. You said you took the graphs to show the pre-cal and post-cal. And you said you would like to share your settings via Facebook. That's all good and fine. You can still share settings and everything with me on Facebook and all that stuff. It's more of a community thing now. For those wondering why I don't really answer messages anymore, there's just no way to keep up with it. Absolutely no way. I mean, I would have excess in some mornings where I'd open up, like, by, like, 9 o'clock. It'd be, like, 900 messages at least. and then I would go throughout the day, and it would be way up into the 1,000, like 200-ish number, and then, you know, throughout the day, keep growing. By nighttime, I would have, it was way too many. And the problem isn't the amount, I mean, because I could go through 1,000 easy comments, but everybody has so many questions, and that's great, but they were paragraphs upon paragraphs. I mean, they were Stephen King-sized paragraphs. I can't read that and then get to everybody in a timely manner, so we were backed up until, like, weeks and weeks and weeks, and it would take me, even after 4 hours, you know, I still had so many people to get to, it was impossible. So you can still contact me on Facebook and things like that with, you know, settings and things like that if you want to check things out. I'll be more than happy to help any way I can. Just post it to the page, because in the messages, I honestly don't check the messages anymore, because I don't really have the ability to respond to everybody, so I feel bad if I respond to one person. But I still talk to you guys, and I still comment to you guys, so if you post those settings, you're fine. And pictures and everything are welcome as well. If you want to put them on the Facebook page or whatever and share what you got with other people, that'd be cool as well. What's going on, Dan Lee? You said you're struggling about the Q6, and you said you have blooming there. You said it's in Europe and it's not full array local dimming. Or wait, you said in Europe the Q8 is not full array, I'm imagining, and you said do I suggest for the Q9FN? That's hard. It's one of those things. It's like, I know you guys have the Q8D in Europe, so you do have an alternative to the Q8FN. You don't necessarily have to go to the Q9. However, I do know that in Europe, if I'm not mistaken, anybody out there who is watching in a European country, please let me know this. But I'm pretty sure from what I've seen that you guys also have like a 55-inch Q9FN, where the States, we don't have that at all. It just starts at 65. So, I mean, that would probably be a good option. And I've seen your Q9s go as low as like 1,700 euros or something like that. That's not a bad deal at all, and that's something I think, yeah, over the Q8. I mean, if I could, I would have done that. But that option just wasn't afforded here in the States, so I was like, well, screw it. I don't need a 65-inch. I don't want a bigger TV, and so that's where we are with that. Yeah, it's hard, because I know the Q6 does have a fair amount of blooming, and that could be pretty annoying. So, hope you get that situation sorted. Sorry to hear about that. What's going on, American Prentice? What's happening? You said you like the video about not hanging the TVs on the wall. Yeah. You said true about 2019 and 2018. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you watching the video as well. Oddly enough, I got a couple people that were saying some pretty odd things. They were like, you know, you're just lying, or you don't really know what you're talking about, and it's like, dude, I don't think you guys realize, like, I do this for a living. Like, I talk to general contractors as the wall's being taken apart, the drywall, the sheetrock, all that. Like, I see inside, and I know when wood rot is there. And, like, let's be real here. Like, I know a lot of you guys probably wall mount your TV sometimes. Like, it's cool to do that, but you know what I mean? Like, you have to be safe, and that's all I was saying. You know, just be safe about it. Make sure that your building can hold it. Because you guys have no idea. I have these people that their homes would be built in, like, 1956. You go over to their house. They're like, all right, so I just got this wall mounted. And then, you know, you contact them throughout the years, and then something happens to the television where it either fell or, you know, they figured out, hey, you know, we wanted to do this addition to our house, and we found out we had wood rot and, like, all this crazy stuff. They think they're fine, and they're really not, and that's really the nightmare I'm trying to save you guys from. I mean, but you can only think of it like this, right? If you've got a television drilled into a wooden beam with gravity pulling down on it literally 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, that's going to do something to the structure. It's still continual pressure being applied on that piece of wood. And people do not put that together. And I feel like it's the saddest thing, because they come at me like I'm attacking their intelligence or their manhood. I mean, I had some people, it was crazy. They were like, if you can't wall mount a TV, you're not a man. I'm like, I mean, look, dude, feel however you want, but I'm just trying to help you, you know? So, you know, you do run into some crazy stuff. So I appreciate you sharing your appreciation for it, because I really just want people to be safe here. That's really the only goal here, is to help. What's going on, Jay Spicer? You said your setup is a 65-inch Q9FN, and you said, wait, you said, is a 65, an A65? Is an A65, what is an A65? I mean, I don't, are you talking like cameras, or? I'll keep reading on, though. You said Q9FN, a 65-inch. This is kind of confusing me a little bit. I can't really make out a lot of this, so just kind of let me know what you mean by that. What's going on, Wild Boy Miller? You were saying I was at Best Buy and I looked at the Q8. Or wait, and you said at the Best Buy the Q8 looked as good as the Q9. You said, is the cost difference between the Q8 and the Q9 worth the money? I honestly didn't feel like it was. Funny story, when I went to my Best Buy, I found that the colors on the, I think it's the 75-inch, it was pretty washed out. Not gonna lie. It was something that kind of scared me, and I was like, okay, well, why does the Q9 look washed out and the Q8 not look washed out? And of course, I'm not just gonna take it like, obviously there's probably something wrong with settings, right? So I go into Magnolia, I ask the dude for the remote, and I open up the settings, right? No, I was completely wrong. In fact, the settings were pushed to like what was it? It was pushed to like 37, and then the Q8 was at 25, and it looked incredible, and they were both running the same HDR demo, and so I knew there was something wrong with the Q9's color. So for me, that's why ultimately I was like, yeah, I would not pay a markup for something that I don't really trust like that. I see right now it could be washed out, and I don't want that at all. And I've seen a couple people that have had some serious gray uniformity issues as well. I mean, it's really like, the larger screens are really unreliable, I mean, really, and that's one of the things that I just don't like about it. So honestly, for that extra money, no. I know there are people that have that TV that love it, that win the panel lottery. That's great. But the thing is, with the panel lottery, you can never be too careful, right? You can never win instantaneously every single time, because manufacturers allow a certain amount of televisions to be messed up, and that's something that, again, is a very unfortunate, I think, unsightly part about the whole consumer buying thing. What's going on? The Simple Superior One. Strange name. He said, in your opinion, go for the Q8. That's a good opinion. I mean, Q8's great. I really hope this year something beats it so I can finally say that, so people don't feel like I'm just regurgitating the only television that I'm, really happy about. Because honestly, I really want TVs to move forward. What's going on, GC? You said you have a 900E and you mainly use it for gaming. You've noticed that it has really bad blurring in game consoles that makes it what do you say? Nauseating? Or something like that? It makes you nauseous? You said, is there a better setting for game mode to combat the motion blur? I mean, I use Soap Opera Effect to avoid any kind of blurring and things like that. It's one of those things. It's going to be pretty rough. It's not going to be the easiest thing to kind of combat if you're running into some blurring. You got to play with the settings until you're comfortable with them, because I mean, I could sit in front of there and I could watch the maximum amount of soap opera, but I know a lot of people hate that. So it's something, again, you're going to have to sit there and play with it. I mean, try to check out some of my older 900E settings, and I think you might find some help there. I do have Super Bowl settings coming out real soon for a bunch of different televisions. It's February now, so I forget when I'm launching them. I gotta look back on the schedule, because I know you guys don't know, but I put them on the calendar, and I just kind of schedule them to kind of release when it's time for them to come out. So I have to double check on that, but if that doesn't work, then maybe the motion settings I have for the Super Bowl settings might work for you. What's going on, Brian Shaw? You said, what's up, Quantum? What's happening, man? You said the question about the Q8FN you had experienced and the picture quality of being weird frosted glass? I don't get it. You had experienced and then the picture quality being weird like frosted glass. What do you mean like frosted glass? I don't get that part. You were saying also HDR gaming dropping out after the new update. Should I exchange the TV? I would. If you have any problems whatsoever, and this is, I mean, everybody out here, please hear me well. I mean this in the best of, the best way possible. If you ever update your television and right after they, destroy any part of your television, I'm telling you right now, exchange it. Don't give them the time of day to do it again, so you have to inconvenience yourself, get yourself sick trying to figure out settings and things like that after hours. Don't do it. Just exchange it, because it happens more often than you'd think. It really does. These settings are not what they are pretending to be. They really are malware. It's planned obsolescence. That is a very real thing. Apple got hit for it. A bunch of other companies get hit for it. It's just the dirty truth about you know, the retail business, so be very careful with that. I run to exchange it while you still can. That's my advice there. What's going on, Wild Boy Miller Time? You said, or do you think the Vizio Quantum is worth buying? I actually do. I think the Vizio Quantum is worth buying at the right price. I've seen it as low as $13.99.99, and I think that's a fair price. It has a lot of color banding, so if you don't like color banding, you have to be very careful with that. The color banding is horrible. I'm not going to bullshit you there. It's pretty bad. But the thing to keep in mind as well, though, is if you can find it at a good price, some cons might be okay. Me personally, just from my personal experiences with Vizio's customer service management team and them blocking me on Facebook for life, literally for trying to get a refund that took 2.5, 3 months, I would never do business with Vizio in a million years. And I would not advise anyone do business with Vizio, because if you have to go through them directly for any reason, you will feel exactly like I feel if you run into the same kind of people that I did. And that's, you know, it's luck of the draw, I guess, with customer service reps, but that's just my reason for not doing the whole Vizio thing. And then I had for those that don't know, I had a 2016 Vizio soundbar that only lasted about 2 years or something like that. And then it died, and when I asked them what I could do with it, basically, if there was even like a discount, they were like, no, there's nothing you could do. We don't offer even repairs, because I was trying to pay to have it repaired, but there was nothing. So I ended up buying the Z9F soundbar, as you guys know, and that's just, yeah, I don't have the best track record with Vizio, outside of like one TV that my wife uses for a monitor these days. That's really it. And it's a really small, like, it was like a, what is it, like a 28-incher or something like that, 26-incher or something like that. And it was way back, I bought that TV back in like 2011, back when they were making TVs to a certain standard as well. So that's something to think about, like, TVs as they grow older, you know, or as we go down the pipeline of years, it's just not as reliable. So I would definitely recommend going, you know, Vizio if you are patient and on a budget. But if you're not patient and you're not on a budget, please look at something else. It'll save you a lot of headache. What's going on? The Real is back too. You said, what's up, man? What's going on? Glad to see you here. Nice to see that you can make it. I appreciate it. We've got another question. Wild Boy Miller said, okay, it's all good. And for a lot of people also, I just wanted to point this out as well. I appreciate, by the way, Wild Boy Miller, you're watching and kind of helping out in the comments here. For anybody wondering, like, I get a lot of hateful messages about, oh, you Quantum, you're deleting my messages and you hate me. Like, no, I give people the power to do that. I don't really do that as much anymore, because I have a lot of good guys and gals out there that are pretty good about that. So if your comment does get deleted after you've said some pretty terrible things, that's probably why, for anybody who's maybe looking to troll or something like that, or just being overly negative, killing the vibe of, you know, the community. That's just what's going to happen. People don't like that. You're going to get kicked out by the community. So just letting you guys know, like, there are moderators here, and Wild Boy Miller is one of them. And The Real is Back too is one of them. Many people are moderators here, so just keep that in mind. They do have the power to delete and to block you and to ban you from the channel. Just saying. That being said, though, I do appreciate you talking to the guy and, you know, working things out amongst yourselves. I appreciate that a lot. It's cool to see the community working with each other. What's going on, Ron B? What's happening? You said, hey, thanks for the best TVs to buy right now. And yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing, so I appreciate the thanks for that. Yeah, it's something that I think, like, you guys should know ahead of time. Also, for anybody who's probably just coming on, again, make sure if you guys are seeing sales right now, you probably want to jump on them. I've seen these numbers around Black Friday. These are the Black Friday prices that we had. I recorded all of the Black Friday prices. This is exactly what they are. Except the only difference is OLEDs actually dropped down by $100 more than what they did at Black Friday, so you're probably going to get a great deal now if you're trying to buy OLED. And for anybody out there buying OLED, because screw Quantum, he's just a jackass, right? You know, whatever. If you do end up buying OLED, you do have the option to go with the E7 on Amazon for like $14.89, and I would recommend doing that over the B series, because the B series has a blocking issue, as you guys know. And in those dark scenes, you're going to be running into all that ugly, blocky crap. You don't want that, and it can develop at any point in time. So literally, stay away from the 2018 variants if you can. Now, the E series, comes with a soundbar. It's not a bad gig if you like OLED. So just a little special little note there for anybody out there wondering. MG Toe, what's happening? You said never put your television on a wall. Yeah, that's kind of my philosophy in life anyway. I won't do it, but you know, to each his own, I suppose. I do not know what this name is. It's just a bunch of vowels, I guess. I-O. What's going on, man? I'll just call you I-O. What's happening, I-O? You said, is the Q7 FN any good for gaming? Yeah, it's tons of good for gaming. Make sure you're in a bright room because QLED in general does not do very well in game mode. They optimize it very poorly, and your local dimming will pretty much be garbage. It's kind of the side effect of having the ability to have soap opera effect and variable refresh rate and all that, I'd imagine, in game mode. So just be mindful that that's where your black levels might actually start looking pretty mid-range, if you will, the game mode, ironically enough. Maybe they fix it, maybe they don't, but it's definitely a big problem right now. What's going on, Dan Lee? You said, what kind of improvements am I able to expect if I upgrade to the Q9FN? Blooming gone, double of brightness. Okay, I got what you're saying. Real darkness. Black levels #1 first and foremost. That's something you could definitely expect. The black levels are absolutely incredible on the Q9, and I mean even more so than the Q8. The Q8 already doesn't have any blooming, so you won't have to worry about that. I know there are people that do lose the panel lottery and they have flashlighting and blooming, and to those people I say exchange your television if you can as fast as you can, because I'm telling you it's not normal. With that TV right in front of me, it's not normal. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't other benefits as well that the Q9 has, which the next really big one is the peak brightness. You know, you're talking excess of 3,000 nits. It's pretty damn sweet, and I think that's something that's not being reported on fairly. Unfortunately, I only was able to test that at a consumer's house. I was not able to bring the television home and actually embarrass the publications like I love to do, because it's just ridiculously expensive. But even still, I'm telling you guys, like it's more than capable of hitting that 3,000 nits. It's very bright. Be very careful with it. Yeah, those are really the main differences. It's really bright. You get the extra screen real estate by force. I mean, because you don't have a 55-inch variant. It's not any sharper. I haven't noticed it being any sharper. I have noticed there are some problems with gray uniformity, so be careful with the gray uniformity, where some people are having serious issues with their vertical banding inside of a gray screen, like really weird. Not as bad as OLED's blotchiness, but they are having some issues, so just be careful with that. Another issue that I am noticing is some wash out randomly. I noticed the 75-inch ones have dodgy performance, so be very careful with Q9 at that level too. Really, it's really very similar. It's just if 2,000 nits of peak brightness is too low for you, then go with the Q9. That's really the only reason I would recommend it. And if you want black levels that are incredibly deep and dark, even beyond the point of blooming, then go with the Q9. Because again, if you want closer to OLED, go with the Q9, because it'll get you closer to that OLED performance because of the local dimming and even more hyper aggressive dimming algorithm. But if you find that not having any blooming whatsoever on text, subtitles, or all that other stuff is more than fine for you, then stick with the Q8, because that's what I did. Again, I watch a lot, for those that don't know, I watch a lot of shows that have subtitles and things like that. I never run into any of this blooming stuff, so you guys will be fine. What's going on, Ron B, sorry, what's happening, man? What do I think about mini LED TVs for 2019? I think that actually might be the future. As weird as that may sound, I think mini LED, that's probably going to be the future of TV. And here's why I think that. You know, you're talking micro LED is struggling to find somebody that can mass produce it, and I'd imagine when they find somebody that can mass produce it, it's probably going to be at an extreme premium for everybody for many, many years, and even still they're going to run the monopoly on it. Okay, so then you're going to have full array local dimming, which is great, but it's about nearing its specification ability, right? It can only get really, really bright, but then you have problems with blooming and things like that, so the algorithms have to get more aggressive. But mini LED has the ability to get really, really dark and really, really bright, and there isn't much trade-off from full array. It's just kind of like a better version of full array. So I think that would be the good direction to go into for at least most consumers. That's probably going to be the future for a lot of people, because again, self-emissive technologies might have some risks. Again, I saw micro LED. I think it's cool, but also I think there are some risks they don't want us to know, like those seams. That's not happening. I'm not about the seams. I'm not about, you know, again, an individual modular panel that if one dies, I have to, again, pay what I could imagine would be no less than $2,000 to replace just a single piece of the puzzle of my television, which, again, screw that. So I don't really see right now what they've shown, micro LED, really taking off from many people. Most people would probably be afraid of that. But that's just my personal opinion in that regard. But I think micro LED really has a lot of room to grow if it's done correctly. What I saw Hisense do with it blew my mind. It's insane, incredible. A 1080p television put inside of a 4K television to offset the blooming to give you a seemingly... what is it? A seemingly, what is it? Like, free of, like, backlight bloom or any of that. It's just like a seemingly uniform contrast that's, like, near OLED. That's what they do, and I think that's really impressive. If we can get that, man, in, like, every kind of television as the norm, we've won as consumers for the most part, I would say. That'd be pretty dope. What's going on, Cameron? You said, what are your thoughts on Vizio P-Series versus P-Series Quantum? Now, I have to ask, are we talking 2019 or this current year? And then you were saying, is the almost double, or with almost double the price at your local Best Buy? I see what you're saying. I think for the current versions, you probably would be better off with the P-Series Quantum because the P-Series Quantum is going to give you Quantum Dot. However, if you are even a little bit patient, unlike myself, I am very impulsive, I can't wait. If I want it, I'm buying it, right? If you are even remotely patient, wait for the next year's model televisions, because I have a feeling that those things are going to be really incredible. I think Vizio is really going to try to put their name on the map with the TVs in 2019, ironically enough. While Sony, Samsung, and LG kind of continue with their strategies, I think the underdogs are really tired of being underdogs this year. So it'd be very exciting to see what they do, but I think they might show up this year. I would wait for it, especially because at the very least, you know, the M series from Vizio comes with Quantum Dot, and if my source checks out, I'm telling you, I have a source, I can't tell you who they are, they just work for Vizio, and they say that the price point of the, I believe, 55-inch or something like that, will start off at being, I think it was like $7.99 or something like that for the M series. If that checks out, if that's legit, that is insane for a Quantum Dot television to go for that low, and then still give you full array local dimming. That would beat out the 6 series, and that's what he's saying they aim to do this year. They aim to target Samsung's lower end QLED to try to get that business or that market share from them. So I would really love to see this check out, because that'd be pretty serious. But I can only wait on that one, but I still say we should wait. That'd be pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. What's going on, Spicer J? You said 3 TVs, the Q9FN, the Q8FN, LG C7, and a TV I've never heard of before, the Optoma? Never heard of that. So I can't really render anything on that one. And your room is 10 by 12 room. One size, custom build. What do I think? I think, honestly, for that size room, any one of these TVs, to be very honest with you, will do just fine. The problem is how you watch your television, and that's where, you know, ultimately you got to sit down with a list. Are you watching mostly sports, news, are you gaming on it? I'd say, if anything, period. I mean, a lot of people don't agree with this, but honestly, if anything has static logos, OLED's automatically off the table. You don't want to run any risks of burn-in, and the 2017 don't have a local luminance feature. Logos have been proven to burn in. I literally saw it yesterday. I was on a job, literally saw it. It was Fox News burned right into the television. So I'm telling you right now, it was a B7 for anybody wanting to know. Yeah, it's real. It's not a joke. So I would be very careful with OLED in general, with stationary logos. But anything else, like if you're just watching a bunch of movies and you like the dark nature of OLED, go for it. I mean, why not? As far as everything else, it just comes down to how much brightness you like, how much you're willing to pay for it, and, you know, you guys know the rest. It's pretty simple from there. What's going on, MG Toe? You said, oh, you're talking to Ron here. Okay, I got you. What's going on, Dan Lee? You said, by the way, God bless you for dropping your knowledge and helping me for not falling into the OLED lie everybody is providing. I appreciate that, Dan. That was really kind of you, man. Thank you. It's not easy, to be very honest with you, man. A lot of people think, like, when you get off of work, just jumping on YouTube or making YouTube videos scheduled out is really easy. It's not. This crap is so draining and so hard. So to get comments like that really help keep me going, to be honest with you. I experience, you guys have no idea, like, my phone rings all the time with a lot of comments, and a lot of people say a lot of really messed up stuff. I mean, you get called everything from racial slurs to, I mean, you know, you name it, right? So I appreciate it. I do. It's pretty cool, man. I'm glad that I was able to help you out, and anybody else that I was able to help out, I'm glad I'm able to help you guys out, man, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just a guy, an everyday person, looking to help you guys out. So if I could do that for you, it's special to me, and I appreciate it if it's special to you as well. What's going on, Carl Goldman? What's happening? You said, would a 65-inch be the maximum screen for viewing? It would. I would not recommend anything over a 65 because you start really losing quality after that. Until you get up to 8K. Of course, once you get to 8K, then of course now 75 inches back on the table. The only question we'd have to ask then is, will the blooming be a problem? Because that's another problem. Will grayscale be a problem? Because that's something to think about as well. So these are the things you have to worry about once you start going up in size. But for right now, for 4K, 65 should be the limit. For me, I keep it at 55. I sit 15 feet away, on average anywhere from 12 to 15 feet, and I have no problem seeing everything. In fact, my screen is more sharp because of it, and I did that on purpose, but a lot of people don't like that, so I would say 65 would be the max, especially for that seating arrangement. What's going on, Wild Boy Miller? What's happening? You said, okay, so I'm down to the Q8 Vizio Quantum or the Quantum X. Which one should I pick? Because if it was you yourself, you'd never buy a TV, so you're letting me pick. All right, that's going to be really hard because I haven't seen the Quantum X, so I feel like that no matter what I say, it would be a little unfair because, you know, one isn't out, and I would really hate to tell you, hey, you know, go for one and something else happens, you know, where something's so much better. But to be very honest with you, I mean, 100% transparency, I still, every day of the week, pick the Q8, and here's why. The Q8FN, for me, has HDR, true HDR, real HDR. You guys know for years I've been talking about it's a gimmick. Well, on the Q8, it actually gives me what I was expecting from HDR. Like, colors are vibrant, and the brightness is there, the darkness is there. It does what it says it's supposed to do. Not a plug for Samsung. I feel so bad myself having to continuously praise the Q8 for its good performance, because I feel bad because it's really the only TV I liked in 2018, truthfully. I actually tried many times to like the 900F, it just never happened for me. You know, and the Vizio, I never really got my hands on them because they always are sold out. Like the Vizio P-Series Quantum, every time I tried to actually buy one for myself, gone. So that was automatically like not an option for me. I know BJ's and Costco's had it, but like I don't know, I just don't shop there. So for me, that was something I just don't shop at. But in terms of the Vizio P-Series Quantum, though, they got the brightness and the color as well. So I'll say this: if you want brightness and you want pretty decent black levels while in a brighter room, television will be the Vizio P-Series Quantum. But if you find that you're mostly watching in a dark room, you'll be better off with the Q8. Now, of course, there could be that wild card that I don't know yet, which is the P-Series Quantum X. And I don't know if you could wait for that or if you should wait for that. If you would have missed a deal on the Q8 or on a Vizio P-Series Quantum waiting for it just to be disappointed, I don't really know. But all I do know is it could potentially work out. I just don't know which one. It's going to be one of those two, bright room or dark room. Hopefully I helped a little bit. I know I'm kind of vague. What's going on? I always mess up your name, I swear. KJS Medic. What's happening, man? I'm just going to call you Medic from now on, because I keep butchering that. Every time I see it, it throws me off. You said Dr. Pepper or Mr. Bibb? Definitely Dr. Pepper. I don't know much about Mr. Bibb. I've seen it, but not a Mr. Bibb guy. I would go with Dr. Pepper.
Why should I trust you?
What? Lyrish. I'm not even going to try to butcher this name. I'm just going to read it. Oh, okay, you're responding to Carl, because, I mean, I did not want to butcher your name.
What's going on, Lee? You said, no, my question was answered, bro. I deleted my question. Gotcha. What's going on, Carl? You're answering, I think Lee, or you're responding to the name I couldn't pronounce, which I apologize. I really couldn't pronounce it. Wild Boy Miller, what's up? You said, okay, sorry, I hit the wrong button. Got it. Brian, what's happening? You said, how long do you recommend the extended warranty? What do we got? Reading onward. I really shouldn't be doing this on my phone. It's tinier screen here. You said, I'm thinking about hitting Best Buy tomorrow for the Q8FN 55-inch. I'm going to take your advice and wait on the I'm going to take your advice on the 2019. Do you have any blooming on your Q? No, I don't have any blooming on my Q8. It's clean. You can watch that video where I did something really ridiculous. I ramped my ISO up, I think, to like 12,800. And again, on the Mortal Kombat logo, on a bunch of different logos, you see like no blooming. The TV does not bloom. It's beautiful. So if you don't have a TV or a Q8 that does that, you have flash lighting or any defect, return it. Because I'm telling you right now, or exchange it, whatever you want to do, because it does not perform like that. I can speak from first-hand experience. This thing is killer. What's going on, Jared? What's happening? You said, do you think Samsung will push an update with Google Assistant to the 2018 model, specifically the Q8? It's possible. It just depends on their mood. If they feel like it'll hurt their sales, they probably won't do it, but they might. What's going on, Alex? You said best settings for everyday cable use for the QLED. I actually have that up on the channel already. Feel free to check out the uploads that we have here. What's going on, Derek? How's it going, man? We've got 5 minutes left in the live stream. If you guys have any more questions, I'll try to answer as much as I can before the 5 minutes are up. What's going on? You said, is the LG C8 worth the $400 difference over the Q8? Mainly streaming movies, TV shows, occasionally gaming. No. I would not say that it's worth the difference. Honestly, it's not. WRGB, worse colors. And then burn-in risks, because you're gaming, not worth it. That's just what I would come down to. But again, that's my perspective. I wouldn't do it. Not for a $400 difference, especially considering that your brightness isn't there. Yeah, that's something I would avoid. We've got what's going on? Double Z40, what's happening? You said, hey bro, keep great job, keep it up. I appreciate that, man. What's happening, Cameron? You said, thanks for the advice, great channel, appreciate all your help. I appreciate you being here, man, thanks. Jay Spicer, what's happening? You said you have the 65-inch Q9FN. And you said, and the LG C703 that you own. I think I answered that, right? I'm not exactly sure. I think I answered that. Maybe it's showing a duplicate. I don't know. What's going on, Anthony? You said, what about posterization on the Q8 in movies? Is it really apparent? You do have some banding, but it's not noticeable at all. Like, really, there's not any real problem to talk about as far as that goes. No. Bookkeeper, what's happening, man? You said, hi, did you play Resident Evil? No, I've been playing Kingdom Hearts 3, though. I have not bought Resident Evil, believe it or not. I've actually never in my life played a Resident Evil game. Fun fact about Quantum Apotheosis. Never once have I played it. I never got into the whole zombies thing. It's not my scene. What's going on, T? I'll call you T. What's happening, man? You said, I just bought the Q9FN 75-inch. It's just breathtaking. Well, there you go. What's going on, Wild Boy Miller time? You said darkroom 75% of the time, and you said this is why I love you. You broke down my question perfectly. I love these live sessions. Love picking your brain about the tech. And you said I have to run. Hope you and the family have a good one. Hey, hope all is well, man. And I hope that it did help you out. So if it's for a dark room, I probably would go with the Q8. So you have a good evening, Wild Boy Miller. I'll probably be hopping off here in the next 2 minutes or so myself. So I appreciate anyone who has come on to the live stream as well. What's going on, Brian? You said, thank you, Quantum. I appreciate your help. Anytime, brother. What's going on, Jay Spicer? You said Q9 is way better than the Q8. I own them both. I think maybe you just lost the panel lottery on your Q8, because I can tell you, I've seen them both. They, trust me, are very, 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 very similar TVs. The only difference is the Q9 is really bright. I mean, scary bright. That in the black levels can be darker in some scenes, but overall they are very comparable TVs, especially when dialed in correctly. Trust me on that one. What's going on, Dirk Mason? What's happening? You said thanks for the advice. Keep fighting the good fight. Always do, man. C. Holmes, what's happening? You said best TV for PC with good color. Best TV for a PC with good color. That's a good question. And you said bought 4K too early. And you said you would like not to make another big purchase mistake. I got you. That's a good question. I really couldn't tell you right now, man. I haven't really looked into PC benefits, so I couldn't tell you what would be the best TV for PC. That's a really good question, though. Hey, beats me. I haven't actually looked truly into it. I use monitors sometimes. I use whatever I can get my hands on, but I haven't actually used the whole PC on the TV thing, so anything I would tell you would just not work out. What's going on? The Real is back too. You said, how is Kingdom Hearts? Never played it. It's a bittersweet for me as a human being, I'll say that. Like when they open it up and like instead of it being like kind of like classic Kingdom Hearts music, it's almost like they mixed it in with like trap music, like techno trap. It does not go with the environment of Kingdom Hearts in my personal opinion. And then like as it's going, it has like a Xehanort, and they like have this chess piece with like this Baphomet head on it, and like they keep showing it, so obviously it's a hidden meaning that I know what it means, but most people, if I tell them, they'll think I'm insane, even though they keep cropping up with these same themes over and over in Hollywood, especially Disney, because Disney is what they are. But yeah, no, I didn't appreciate it. The game is fun, but then it also has slow moments. It's robotic as hell. Like when the commentary, when they talk, sometimes there's a lag between like almost like the game is thinking in game, like, which is stupid. It's like, oh, that's great. So, what do we do next? It's really choppy. Don't really like that part about it. I feel like other Kingdom Hearts games were put together a lot better, and that's just kind of my thing on it. And that's pretty much it, guys. I really hope you guys appreciated the live stream. I have to get going here. If you guys have any questions throughout the week on the content that I'm going to be providing throughout the week, make sure you catch these live streams 7 p.m. through 8 p.m. That's really what we do. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I loved having you guys here. It was fun, fantastic. And until the next live stream and video, I'll see you guys later.